What's going on, everyone? And today we are talking wide receivers that are extremely undervalued over on Underdog Fantasy. So if you are looking for some steals over on Underdog, you came to the right video. Be sure to stay tuned till the very end because I did save the best for last. Before we get into it though, if you guys could, go down, drop a like on this video. I'm answering every comment. So if you guys have any questions related to fantasy, please feel free to fire away down below and subscribe to the channel to the notification bell on. It is the #1 way to support me. It's completely free and it would mean the absolute world to me, guys. With that out of the way though, let's hop right into it with our first player, and that is Jaylen Waddle.
All the way home, touchdown Miami.
And now I know what you guys are probably thinking. Jaylen Waddle is the wide receiver 11 over on Underdog Fantasy. How the heck is he undervalued? Well, let me tell you. For one, his ADP is 17.8, which is 3 full picks behind Amon-Ra St. Brown. And personally, in a vacuum, I would rather have Jaylen Waddle over Amon-Ra St. Brown. And again, let me tell you why. Last year, Jaylen Waddle was simply phenomenal, averaging a league-leading 18.1 yards per catch, having over 1,350 yards on only 117 targets, which is absolutely mind-boggling. But he did that without Tua for part of the season. Tua only played 13 games last season, 13 out of a possible 17, which I know still sounds like a lot, but he was banged up in part of the games that he ended up playing through or getting removed halfway through. And if we take out the games where Tua didn't play, not even the games where he left halfway through, Jaylen Waddle had 1,100 yards and 8 touchdowns in 13 games. If we were to go off of that pace, which he had with Tua for 13 games, and keep in mind that Tua was banged up for part of that, Jaylen Waddle would have had 1,460 yards. Not only that, Waddle and Tua have a chemistry going way back. Jaylen Waddle was able to have over 100 catches as a rookie and over 140 targets as a rookie, which is something that very few rookies are able to do. In fact, he was one of only 2 wide receivers to hit that mark, and the only other player to do it was Anquan Boldin in 2003. He literally set the rookie record for most receptions of all time in a season. And you could say, yeah, blah, 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 he had the extra game. No, he didn't. He missed a game, so he only played 16 games. Not only that, Jaylen Waddle is very efficient in advanced metrics as well, ranking 7th in yards per out run, tying himself with Devontae Adams, which is crazy. The one knock you could have on him is the fact that he only had 21% of his team targets, 20.7 to be exact, which is less than Allen Lazard, Tyler Lockett, and Robert Woods. And the obvious reason for that is the fact that they have Tyreek Hill. But we should see Jaylen Waddle stepping into a role where he could have 24, 25% of the team's targets next season, because all the targets are going to be funneled through Tyreek Hill and him. So if you have 24, 25% of the team's targets, yes, the efficiency probably will go down, but the volume will go up, making him a PPR machine next season. One last thing to mention, this is somebody who was tied for 3rd with most receptions of 40-plus yards, meaning that he is getting downfield often, and his yards after the catch ability is simply insane. I mean, one of the best wide receivers is just pulling away from defenders. It's great to watch him, a very fun wide receiver. I had him last season in my main league. I loved watching Jaylen Waddle. And I don't want to say that he's going to be able to take away target share from Tyreek Hill, but I wouldn't be surprised if he got a bump in target share himself. Now the next guy I want to talk about is Amari Cooper.
Touchdown, and Cooper was all by himself.
And I know, Amari Cooper, maybe not the best name to go out and buy, especially at the wide receiver 18 price point. But at the same time, I think Amari Cooper is a great wide receiver who's stepping into a potentially elite offense with Deshaun Watson. And oftentimes, you can pair up Amari Cooper with Deshaun Watson late in these drafts and be absolutely fine at the position of wide receiver and quarterback. Instead of taking these round 2 guys like Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, and Jalen Hurts, I would much rather wait until the 7th, 8th round and go out and get Deshaun Watson, who has finished as the top 5 quarterback every single time he's played a full season. And we saw Amari Cooper be great last year with Jacoby Brissett at quarterback. I mean, Amari Cooper was a top 10 wide receiver last year with Jacoby Brissett at quarterback. Especially considering this is the best quarterback Amari Cooper's ever had in his career. Yeah, you can make the case Dak Prescott, whatever. No, it is Deshaun Watson. And if Deshaun Watson is able to return to form, I am so willing to take a consolidated bet on Amari Cooper, Deshaun Watson, David Njoku, because we know the talent is there for all of these players. The offensive line is great. The play calling is good with Kevin Stefanski, and Kevin Stefanski openly said that he wants to pass the ball more this next season. So I am absolutely willing to take a shot on Amari Cooper here. I think this offense will be great this upcoming season. And they do have some pretty good teams in their division as well. I mean, you got the Ravens, you got the Bengals. They're going to be involved in a good amount of shootouts. So I think Amari Cooper is a great buy low, considering, again, he is coming off the board as the wide receiver 18, and personally, I would rather have him over Calvin Ridley, who I loved. I had him during his breakout season, but I'm not willing to take the shot on Calvin Ridley as a wide receiver 17. His ceiling is super high. But in a vacuum, I would rather have Amari Cooper over Calvin Ridley, although Calvin Ridley, another great player. Can't go wrong taking him. I would rather have Amari Cooper. And then Deebo Samuel is where it starts to get a little tough, but I would personally still rather have Amari Cooper over Deebo Samuel. Yes, Deebo Samuel had a phenomenal breakout season 2 years ago, but that offense is so crowded. I mean, you have Christian McCaffrey, you have George Kittle, you have Brendan Ayuk. There are so many players in this offense that I'm not really willing to take a shot on Deebo, considering week to week he could be absolutely awful. Whereas with Amari Cooper, this offense is pretty open. You have Njoku as a good tight end, but the number 2 target is wide open. I personally think it will be Elijah Moore, but we could easily see Donovan Peoples-Jones, Cedric Tillman stepping in and taking volume away from the wide receiver 2. But this wide receiver 1 is so clear-cut. It's Amari Cooper, and Deshaun Watson has produced great seasons for wide receivers in years past. What makes this any different? Wide receiver 18, Amari Cooper, a phenomenal value. Now, let's move on to my next player.
Now London goes up the ladder and makes the catch.
The next guy I want to talk about is Drake London, and this is one of the most polarizing players, I think, over on Underdog Fantasy, and I'll give you the bull case first. So the bull case for Drake London. I mean, this is somebody who dominated his team target share. He was 4th in the entire NFL in terms of team target share, only behind Cooper Kupp, Tyreek Hill, and Devontae Adams, 3 wide receivers who aren't that bad at the NFL level. He also ranked 25th in terms of yards per route run, having 2.16 yards per route run with a combination of Marcus Mariota and Desmond Ridder at quarterback. I mean, that is phenomenal metrics for a rookie wide receiver who is playing during his age 20 to 21 season. So this is a very young, elite wide receiver who broke out early. The problem is the fact that you have Desmond Ridder commanding this offense for at least part of the season. We could see Heineke come in. We just don't know. But either way, this quarterback situation is not going to be great. And yet the Falcons have the easiest schedule, arguably in the entire NFL. In my opinion, the easiest schedule in the entire NFL. Their Vegas win-loss odds right now are 8.5, which might sound crazy on first glance, but go take a look at their schedule. I'll pull it up somewhere right over here. But go look at their schedule. It is absolutely awful. So they might win a lot of games. And if they are winning a lot of games, I think they're going to probably want to win games by running the football, which is the bear case for Drake London. It is a little bit concerning that their quarterback situation is really bad. It is concerning that they just went out and drafted Bijan Robinson. But I'm willing to take a bet on talent here. Drake London is, in my opinion, just as good of a wide receiver as Chris Olave, as Garrett Wilson was this past season. And yet he's not being drafted in that range. And it does make sense. The quarterback situation is easily the worst. But coming off as a wide receiver 25, I am more than willing to take a shot on the talent and the promise that he could be great and have absolutely explosive boom games than on the fact that he probably will bust at some points this season. He's a phenomenal talent. He's really somebody who can dominate at every single level of the field. That's why I'm taking Drake London here. Fingers crossed Desmond Ridder is a good quarterback at this point because I'm taking Drake London just about everywhere. But either way, let's move on to my favorite buy low in all of Underdog Fantasy right now for wide receivers, and that is, drum roll please, DeAndre Hopkins. What the heck are we doing with DeAndre Hopkins? Right now, over on Underdog Fantasy, he's the wide receiver 22, going behind DJ Moore, Michael Williams, Christian Watson. Why? Why is he going so low? Yes, I understand. There are a lot of question marks with this situation right now. We don't know if Kyler's going to be back for the start of the season. We don't even know if Kyler's going to be back in the middle of the season. But DeAndre Hopkins is an elite wide receiver talent year in and year out. And last year, he was just as great as ever, having 2.72 yards per route run, which made him 9th at the position, ahead of Justin Jefferson. He also commanded 28% of the team's total target share, which is a great metric as well. Yes, there are question marks, and yes, he might not be traded, but if he is, almost any situation is better than Arizona, so you're going to be happy if DeAndre Hopkins is able to move on. But even if not, we've seen he has great rapport with Kyler Murray, having over 1,400 yards his first season in Arizona. Just last year, he only played 9 games and had over 700 yards. The reason why he only played 9 games was because he was suspended. So no matter what, if he stays or if he goes, I think DeAndre Hopkins is still an elite wide receiver from a yards per route run and advanced metric perspective. You see it on the field how great he was last season. And I know he could lose a step, but I am fine, more than fine, holding the bag on somebody as talented as DeAndre Hopkins at the wide receiver position, especially the wide receiver 22. I would much rather take him over DJ Moore at the wide receiver 21, and I'll lay out a quick bear case for DJ Moore. DJ Moore is stepping into a situation with the least amount of passing yards in the offense in the last decade. If you had combined all of the Bears wide receivers, they still would not have put together a wide receiver 1 season. So although I love DJ Moore as a player, he is not stepping into a good situation for fantasy. And then again, I guess you could say neither is DeAndre Hopkins. But at the same time, DeAndre Hopkins has a fair chance of being traded. Even still, I know it hasn't happened yet. And the team claims that they are not trading him, but they easily could if they wanted to, especially midseason if they're at 2-3 wins and just want to get out. I think DeAndre Hopkins is a phenomenal buy low, somebody who's extremely talented, and somebody with the ability to potentially go to an offense that would make him even better. And reportedly, during the trade rumors with DeAndre Hopkins, one of the teams that was going after him the most was the Kansas City Chiefs. And I know that's a pipe dream right there, that would be insane, but if he were to end up on a team like that, woo, oh my god, DeAndre Hopkins would be so good. I'm drafting him everywhere. This is a talent bet here. Either way, hope you did enjoy the video. If you did, go smash that like button. I'm answering every comment. So if you guys have any questions, please let me know. And subscribe to the channel. Turn the notification bell on so you don't miss another video. With that though, guys, as always, have a good day, a good night, and a good life. High five.